Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Nonprofits. So, the GOP attempting to outlaw pride flags across state buildings. Cute. But these cities got crafty. Missoula, Boise, Salt Lake. They just made pride flags a part of the city officially identification. So, Tracy, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Of course, Helen. When a law is unjust, I believe one has a duty to disobey it. And it seems the City Council of Missoula, Montana agrees with me, as in response to Montana's House Bill 819, which bans the flying of certain flags on government property. They have chosen to be a bit maliciously compliant, I think, in making the pride flag their official town flag, thereby allowing it to be flown on their government property. This is, of course, a victory for free speech advocates everywhere, as I think their message is clear. We will not be tread upon by your bigotry. The motion to set the pride flag as their town flag passed 9-2 on Monday, June 2nd, and their governor is already discussing a new law to further restrict the town's ability to self-govern, showing again that small government is only important when it's on the right side. This story is from LGBTQ Nation by Daniel Villarreal on June 7th, 2025. And that could be Villarreal or some, I don't know. There's a lot of letters. I did my best.
Tracy, words are hard.
They're difficult.
They're very hard. So I love this. As a queer person, I'm just, it's our month. I'm feeling really good about this story. It just like, the biggest win. I'm so sad for you. So, Tracy, how do we make sense of the fact that that's the supposed small government conservatives are literally legislating what colors people can fly of their freaking flags, man, while making space for Confederate symbolism in a state where there wasn't even part of the Confederacy, because those things are happening as well. So at what point does the hypocrisy stop being a bug and just becomes the whole damn platform?
Yeah, I don't know, Helen. I couldn't tell you. It really seems that things are only important when things that the right espouses as being important are only important when it's convenient and when it agrees with them. Otherwise, the government should be this big, powerful, stomping fist. But we shouldn't give it any money so that it can do things. We don't want people flying flags that could be divisive. So we're going to allow the traitor flag of America to be flown and put laws in place specifically to disallow the flying of a flag that is representative of inclusiveness and love. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It makes negative sense as far as I can tell. You're right. Montana wasn't in the Confederacy. I don't think Montana was a state yet. So it doesn't make any sense. I think that they're just trying to couch their bigotry in with they're trying to lie and say that they're really trying to make sure everybody is not being divided, but just we want them divided in the way we want, but you're making us feel divided out, so that's not okay. It's just one of those silly things, and it can't even be backed up by the you don't participate in the social contract, therefore you're not protected. Because it's not that we don't want you to be divisive. It's we want divisiveness only in the ways that we like. We don't want you to speak up about things that are different from us, is essentially all I'm getting from this.
That sounds like an accurate description. People being very selective about like the inclusiveness bad, bigotry against marginalized groups good, and we're going to fly a flag to show that. It's very confusing and backwards of just basic human decency. But what do I know? So Jason, you as a fellow queer person, how are you feeling about this? Tell me. I cannot hear you, sweetheart. You did, Johnny.
Oh no, I did it. I clicked it, but it didn't get it. Sorry, y'all. I mean, just you know me pretty well, Helen. You know the bands that I play in and sing in, and the work we've done with the ACA. I've got no problem speaking my mind about how much I hate shit like bigotry and government sanctioned phobias. So when I see a whole city doing something like this, I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, I love it because it's just punk as fuck. So fuck you, fuck the man. I'm going to do what I want, like promote things like love and pluralism and inclusivity, and acceptance. and plus being a big proponent of the working class, I would think that, our queer population, are generally made up of the working class. So you would think as the working class, we would support other people who are part of the working class. Because don't forget that there's only a few of them. So, irrespective of if they're GOP, whatever political party, I don't even see it as that. I just see it as people who are very few amount of people who are utilizing people's religious beliefs and political leanings to drive home agendas that are purposely targeting the working class, purposely targeting people who don't have the same funds and access and resources that they have. It's really low-hanging fruit for these scumbags to be doing this. Just understand that if they're coming for us queer folk this blatantly, after all the reform we did in the late 90s and early 2000s, then you're next, whoever you are, especially if you're of a religious flavor that doesn't taste good to those people. Again, it's not even about the parties. It's about the people who are in control. We're blinded by these party things. If you think they're different, sorry, whatever. But the thing is, these are people and we need to fight these people. There's not that many of them. And they act like there is because they put a name to it, but there's not that many of them. So, fuck them all.
And I agree with that sentiment. It is one of those things that, the squeaky wheel is getting the oil, which is really annoying because it's usually a bigoted squeaky wheel. And it is like, this is great. I think, as you said, it's punk as fuck. I think it's wonderful. But also, when I think about, there's been, 100 trans bans and legislation that are still getting passed. Like, I'm like, is this just like you think this is just like a fucking Band-Aid?
Well, I mean,
on a deeper wound? Like, yeah. Okay.
No,
Jason, go ahead.
I don't. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. And then I'll go to Tracy. You wanted to jump in.
No,
so
I don't think it's a Band-Aid. I mean, yeah, but you need Band-Aids sometimes to close a wound. Anything. This is what's looking at Salt Lake City, Utah. I mean, that is a high religious population out there. And they still have their shit together, man. I mean, they're problematic as fuck, but at least that city has their shit together. What these are beacons of hope for people that I know who have trans kids, who are being targeted for having trans kids. These are places they're putting up a beacon. And I might know people who need that in the near future or right now. And so those are places that you go. Those are the places that queer people go. And, depending on how you feel about gun control and gun ownership and learning martial arts and MMA or learning how to defend yourself, I think it's a good idea to learn some form of way to defend yourself, especially if you're an openly queer person. The problem is that cowards tend to run in groups. Whereas people who are brave are able to walk alone. The problem with walking alone is that there's more of them than you. So, let's be vigilant and take care of yourself and take care of the people around you. I think that's, but I see that as a very, again, cautiously optimistic thing. As a fatalist and a pessimist, I can see this as a good place for people who are being targeted for having queer children, for them to go, because I'm assuming that there will be social things put in place that will take care of those people. So that's how I feel about it, Helen.
So Tracy, I was asking you, so go ahead.
Can you please repeat the question? Because
Yes, I can.
really into what Jason was saying, and I forgot what you asked.
Do you think this was just my I tend to align with Jason's line of thinking, but this was something that I was just, having a question about in regards to, is this just a Band-Aid on like a wider bleeding wound, or is this it's like, okay, like this, as Jason said, is this like a beacon of hope? And I like, in your humble opinion.
In my humble opinion, I don't think it's a Band-Aid on a bleeding wound. I think that it is better to say that it is a Band-Aid on a smaller wound that's next to the bleeding one. Because this isn't ultimately going to affect the larger schema, I don't think. However, it is definitely going to do a lot for the people in that town. I hope that they don't suffer any crimes at the hands of the people of the town, don't suffer any crimes at the hands of those who disagree with them. But I think it is something to be admired and a beacon of hope that no matter, and this is how I think of it, no matter how bad things get, there will always be those people that are willing to stand up to tyranny and to bigotry. And I think it's important to remember that that people aren't necessarily raised to be like with the intent of being accepting and loving. Some people have to learn that over their lifetime. Mm-hmm. And so even if they get all of the adults, that doesn't stop good, morally firm individuals from arising. At the end of the day, history has shown us that our societies tend to grow more and more progressive. We progress over time. And so even if we take a loss, I just hope that our thousands of year-long streak of winning tiny battles over and over again continues along that trend. And that's all I can hope.
My fear is that we've reached a plateau in that progression, because there's a lot of like, if you want to like check Pew research, there is a massive religious population boom happening and projected right now. The problem is that whenever you hear something like 30% of, there's like so many less people affiliated with religions. Well, we see a lot of that correlate with what happened during COVID, where we became a very digital world. The problem with that is that information spreads like wildfire with time-space compression, with the whole internet globalization thing going on. And what we've seen is a wildfire spread of misinformation. And it's due to issues like not having things like critical thinking and dialectics cherished in our public school systems and in our cultural belief systems and things like that. So while people's religious adherence may have gone down, their political cult of personality adherence has skyrocketed. And we're also seeing in developing nations like the continent of Africa and other developing nations that religiosity is on a hard upswing. And I've just recently looked at the Pew Research on this within the past 2 weeks. And I just would encourage anybody to look at it and to spend some time reading it, because while I agree with you, Tracy, that there is some more room for progressivism, I see that window shrinking very quickly in areas where it's been open for a while. So when I see a place like a city in the face of this fucking tyrannical government, it doesn't matter what party, just tyrannical in general, they're willing to take a stand and put their necks on the line. So anybody like that, I respect, because if I've learned firsthand, am learning on a daily basis now, that if you use your real name and you stand up for truth and science and humanism and love and acceptance, the people who share the same genetics with you will turn on you and hang you out to dry in order to cover their own disgusting idea of what the image they need to project and I need to project is. It's terrible. People sacrifice their own children for these things. So I don't see it as a Band-Aid. I see it as a very bold move in a very toxic climate where people are sacrificing their own kids.
And it's happening, unfortunately, because those of us know, like the work that I've done with recovering from religion and the stories that we hear as part of the ACA and on it goes, of people choosing belief over other human beings, which is
it belief?
Frustrating.
Or is it like other things? I mean, maybe it's belief.
Well, no, I like, because it's still a belief, or the belief feeds the bigotry. So, it feeds they both, they're both bedfellows. They're fucking each other. And it's not great. It's really
which
bad.
would be
bad
hot,
sex.
but
it's really bad sex.
Yeah,
it's really bad ideological sex, which. I'm going to switch gears a little bit, not that much though. I do find it very strange that this obsession with the pride flag, which is pretty much like, hey, gender and sexuality are fluid, it's rainbow, and everybody's losing their crap. Where if I can tell you that if you drive down I-75 in Florida, heading towards Tampa, there's a mofo that has a huge Confederate flag, flying on the side of the road. You can see it everywhere. And I can't help but think that I'm asshole, one. And two, he kind of gets a pass. But if someone even puts a queer bumper sticker on the back of their car, it's some places you can't, if you work for certain government areas, you can't have it on your car, and it's these double standards. And is it a threat to the power structure? That inclusivity might threaten people actually being treated as equals?
Of course it's a threat.
So Tracy, what's your opinion on that?
Well, about the flags thing, I just can't understand, because as near as the only message I've ever gotten from the pride flag is that, don't be ashamed of yourself, be confident in who you are, and the people who fly this flag will love you for who you are, so long as you're not an asshole. And with the Confederate flag, I know we've had this conversation so many times with so many different bigots, and it doesn't really seem to get through. But it's they didn't leave over slavery; they left over states' rights, and just states' rights to what? And then you read there's so many different documents from Confederates who were high up explicitly stating that one of the primary reasons they wanted to leave was so they could keep their slavery. And so you're flying a slavery flag, a flag that's about slavery, sort of in the same way that the Fourth Reich flag is about, killing people, killing a lot of people. That flag means that. It means you're in favor of that. The Confederate flag means you're in favor of slave. and say what you will about Native American traditions and Far Eastern traditions with that with the particular symbol that the Fourth Reich chose to use, but like, I don't get it. I really don't understand. What is the actual problem? And I would love it if somebody could articulate it, because I've never heard anywhere about the pride flag being used as a hate message. Well, like not even one case. And I disabuse me of that if I'm wrong.
The pride flag represents something that people have been told and campaigned and inculcated and to believe is inherently evil. So if you're taught in these insular communities that something is evil and is demonic and satanic and is harming your children, and that's all you know, and that's how you've been conditioned, then when you see something, the thing is this: they make it look innocent with all the rainbow colors, and they steal the colors from God's promise to you. But they do that because it is demonic and it's evil, and they're trying to cover how evil it is. And the thing is, these people buy this bullshit hook, line, and sinker because that's all they've known. So they think what they're doing is moral, and they're trying to protect children. So I can understand, because I grew up in a community like that. So I can understand that thinking and the mind games they play. And if you're not around queer people, or you yourself are not admitting you're queer, or you have these feelings, you get a little tingle every time you see a handsome fellow walk by. The thing is, that's a demon, or that's evil, or that's lust, or that's the flesh, or however way they get you to feel shame about your own natural body reactions that are not harmful. They are able to perpetuate that into adulthood and build religious and social structures around it that demonize people who they themselves feel the same way as. So that's how they do it. It's just a campaign. It's people who understand and are generally hiding things. It's a narcissistic campaign that gaslights people.
And I do want to point out that the reason that promise was because God did a worldwide genocide. So
of course,
let's remember that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think this
was
except
for like 7 people and
then there was
metric
the incest
fuck ton of animals.
The incest boat.
Oh,
anyway,
the incest boat.
The incest boat.
Could
anyway.
Be fun.
God, hope not. Anyway, positive thing for Pride Month. So happy Pride, everybody. If you want to know more, look at more queer shit and positive things going on in the queer community, please click on a video, subscribe to the nonprofits, like a video, visit our merch store, and we'll see y'all here next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.